Hey everybody, welcome back to Lessons Learned, the podcast where we aim to turn our experiences into your wisdom. I'm Randy, here today with Chris, Jared, Joe, and Talon. And today we're going to be talking about something I think everybody goes through in life, being lost in your 20s. Chris, you want to explain that one a little further for us?
Yeah, how's it going, guys? It's Chris. Lost in your 20s, lost at every age of life, we're coming to find out. But specifically your 20s we're going to be talking about today. We'll get a little more in depth into that coming up here shortly. But first, I want to talk about how Randy mentioned he had a few little goals to work towards. And one of them was paying off your car and paying off your student loans and then working on moving away. So how's it coming with all those?
Good. So I actually got one of those small goals achieved during the week. So I got my car completely paid off, which is awesome.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Dude, that's sick.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty pumped about that. I started doing a couple other things I wanted to do, like updating my resume and, a few little things like that. Just kind of stuff to get me ready for when I'm ready to move. So I think definitely paying off the car is a big step forward because it's one less goal that I have to worry about, one less bill that I have to worry about, during the moving process. So yeah,
absolutely. You got some more money to start saving up.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah, brother. And you're also in the wood shop again for my friend Sam, right? Making her a little project.
That I am. I'm pumped about this one. It's going to come out pretty sweet.
What are you making?
You remember that? I think I posted it a while ago, the Jack Daniel's shot glass. I posted it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Dude,
thing's sick. It's like a barrel in a shot glass. It's awesome.
Yeah.
That's sick. Didn't that take a lot of effort, you said? Like a lot of effort?
It took a lot of effort the first time because there was like the one process I had to figure out. So it was a lot of trial and error, but now that I know how to do it, it shouldn't be that bad.
Oh, sweet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet, man. So if anyone's in the market for some shot glasses that are handmade and look dope, you know where to go. Shameless plug. There it is.
Shameless plug at Squire Woodcrafts on Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so back to the podcast. Well, shut up, Joe. Back to the podcast. So being lost in your 20s. So let's give you a scenario everyone goes through in life, right? You finish high school. Do I go to college? Do I do a trade? Do I join the military? What do I do? That's 18, right? You kind of do your stuff for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You're in your 20s now. Where do I go from here is the biggest question.
What, you mean you don't know exactly what you want to do with your life?
Right. You don't know. You don't have a major picked out. You don't know what you want to do till you're like 90 years old. Are you kidding me?
You don't second guess your plans? What?
Yeah. So how do you decide where to go? How do you not stress about it? And how do you just become happy? And that's what we're going to be talking about this episode. So with that, let's give it over to Jared. What are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, it's hard to say because, at that age, you don't have a whole lot of life experiences. So find something that you enjoy doing or something that can, something that you don't hate doing that can earn you a living and do that. And while you're doing that, try to experience different things, try new things, meet new people, go different places. And just kind of try to be aware of what you enjoy and what you're good at, and then try to get a job doing that. And even if it doesn't pay a whole lot, if you can make a living off of it, then go after it. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you have to put yourself in some uncomfortable situations and just do your own thing.
So just doing what you
just
love
be happy.
is what you're getting at.
Pretty much. But, a lot of what I just said, I know is like easier said than done. A lot of, I'm probably even rolling my eyes right now. But you just got to try different things, It's not, you might not find out what you love until you're 30 or 40 or 50,
Hell, I still don't know what I want to do.
But I feel like this whole conversation's just gonna end up being like, you you might not find out what you love until later in life, but don't stress out about it. You don't have to have everything figured out at 20 years old. It's going to take a while. It's going to be a process. You just need to focus on enjoying the process.
Got to roll with the punches.
Yeah. I think, so the story of my life is, I obviously moved to Delaware, didn't have many friends, couldn't wait to get out. Went to college, made a few more friends, and that was fun. But I was on a scholarship for 2 years. So once that scholarship ran out, I got my associate's degree, right? Where did I go from there? I had no direction. I didn't know what to do. So what I did was, I just worked at Lowe's, trying to figure out life for a little bit for about 2 years, I got broken up with, and then I was like, well, what am I doing with my life? So I had to reevaluate everything. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and move back to Jersey and live up there. But I was mooching off my aunt and uncle. I couldn't hold that up forever. So I was like, you know what, dude? Screw this. So I went and talked to a recruiter, and I was 21 years old. And I, joined the Air Force, and now here I am in life. And I'd never expected to be in Omaha, Nebraska, but here I am. So I think one of the biggest lessons to be learned out of this is to just go with the flow, man. Don't stress about, you can't think about 3 years down the road. You can have a goal to hit, but you can't stress about that, man. I think one of the best tips I've ever gotten in life was I was working out with a trainer in Delaware, getting ready for the military, and it sounds badass, right? I was just fat, so I wasn't fat. I'm just kidding.
You're fat.
But no, she was my boss at the gym that I worked at, and she told me that, and she said, just take it day by day. Why are you thinking so far down the road? You're never going to be happy if you do that. And I think that's really important. So maybe have a short-term goal, a year out to work towards, whether that's a certification or degree or just applying to a bunch of jobs. You can't think long-term like that. You're going to go crazy.
Yeah. I feel like, we look up to a lot of the idols that we look up to. They figured out life. They figured out basically their calling at a really young age, but the fact is, the 99% of the population doesn't have that figured out. And not everyone's born with that entrepreneurial spirit or anything like that. Chris, I think a good example is the other day when we were walking out of the coffee shop. Remember that kid?
Yeah, dude, that guy was... Dude, this kid must have been 12 years old on a bike in a backpack, just posted up outside this coffee shop, right? He knows the audience that's in there, right? Mm-hmm. He comes up to me and Jared... Excuse me, guys, would you guys like to buy a painting of mine? Just out of his backpack. I was like, dude, that kid's going to be rich one day.
And then, as we were pulling out, he was posted up on his bike, waiting to just, casually ride up to the front doors. Dude, he's smart. But, I wasn't born with that entrepreneurial spirit. That kid, he's probably going to be a great salesman.
Yeah.
But that's not me.
But I think to combat that, I think entrepreneurship comes from failure. The successful ones fail a lot, but they learn from that failure and then they become successful.
And I think those people are also the people who are a lot less afraid to fail.
Yeah, because I mean that's one of the biggest lessons is if you have failed and you have been lost, how do you overcome that? And once you do that once, it's easy to repeat.
Yeah.
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 So Joe, what are your thoughts, Joe? I know maybe I don't know how you thought life would pan out, but did you ever think you'd be where you are now?
Not really, to be honest with you. I remember kind of watching you go through your whole younger 20s situation, because I never thought you would be in the Air Force, to be honest with you. Because, growing up through middle and high school, the only thing I ever planned out was being in the Air Force. And then I'm like, I really don't have too many goals other than that. And then you decided, hey, I'm going to join the Air Force. I'm like, wow, no, you're stealing my idea.
Yeah, it's because I was lost, dude. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it was always in the back of my mind. But you definitely had the idea first. I'm not going to say I stole it from you. I'm going to say I just sent it and took your advice.
I like it.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, the overall thing, where I am as far as the Air Force wise, I guess that is what I always planned on. Now, I also did the same thing as Chris. I did the 2 years of college because I got the scholarship as well. Very easy to get in Delaware. And, I got my associates, and then I kind of slacked on joining the Air Force because I was kind of second guessing myself. And my parents were just like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "I'm gonna join the Air Force." They're like, "When?" I'm like, I kind of started thinking about it. I'm like, I'm really just slacking right now, and I just decided to get up, send it, went over to the recruiter, and then a few months later, went to basic training. And now I didn't think I'd be back in Delaware, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
but here I am. So, and I'm kind of just, I'm in the same boat as Chris. I'm going with the flow. The whole long-term life goals, I don't have too many aside from just expanding on my military career. I do plan to stay in for the long haul, but I'm just kind of seeing where life takes me from here on out.
Yeah, I think being in the military, and Town could talk to this a little bit too. You don't have choices of where you end up. You go where they send you, and that teaches you to roll with the flow, or to go with the flow. I'm sorry, roll with the punches, go with the flow. Roll with the flow.
Roll.
That'll be a t-shirt.
Yeah.
You kind of have to just embrace whatever's happening to your life, and you can't really complain about it because you made that choice. Like
Exactly.
As an adult, the great thing is that you have like freedom of your own life, but you made that choice of being in the Air Force. So you have to accept that. So you have to just live in the moment as best as you can, even if you don't want to be in Delaware or wherever you want to be.
Yep. You have to be very adaptable.
People always ask me. Yeah, people always ask me, like, "Oh, how do you like it?" And honest truth, I don't really like it here, but I'm making the most of it and I'm enjoying it and having fun. Because if I just sit here and sulk, that's not going to accomplish anything.
And you met some awesome people.
That'll just be a waste of years of your life if you just sit there depressed in Nebraska the whole time.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of military people do struggle with this, is like, they do feel lost. It's like, well, I joined for 4 years, maybe thinking I'd do a career out of it, and now what do? I'm not going to re-enlist, but I don't have a plan getting out. And so even the military people, like that alone shows we still don't have our stuff together, because, we might come in with this grand scheme of doing 20 years and hitting retirement. Even like Joey says, Joey's still young, though. He might change his mind still.
Always possible.
You could even argue it would actually be worse for you guys in a way, because it's like, you think about it, say you only do stay in for 4 years, you're told what to do for 4 years of your life, and then all of a sudden you're out, and it's like, okay, you're on your own. There's no structure. There's nobody above you telling you what you have to do and where you have to go. It's just all on you now.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that, like, on the flip side, a lot of people join the Air Force or the military in general, and they're like, I'm just gonna do 4 years or however long, and I'm gonna get out. And it's like, I will go to school. Like, they have like this plan about getting out, but then like they hit that almost like 4 year mark, and then they're just like, wait, I don't know what to do. And it's just like, I have this stable job right here. It's just like, oh, let me just stay in a little longer. And just like it always happens. Yep.
It's really a catch-22,
Again.
So Chris, you just re-enlisted, and I did as well.
And I did.
Did
too.
you?
Should I be clapping? I don't know.
Congratulations.
Let's go.
Yeah. Hey.
But did you guys face any like negativity? Like, did anyone oppose that decision, and how did you deal with that?
Yeah, 100%. Obviously the good people, the good leaders in our squadron are like, man, we don't want to see you go, because obviously they don't like their friends getting out, and even if they're your leadership, like, they still like you, they care about you, so they don't want to see you get out and struggle. But like, it's also important that they know that you're not struggling in the Air Force. So like, if you weren't having a good time, they would fully support your decision to get out. Like, there's no hostility towards that. But where I got hostility was from people who are already out, like, oh, get out, dude, you won't regret it. But at the same time, I'm looking at those people, I'm like, dude, you're just going to school. Like, I did my school in the Air Force. Like, I already got my degree, and you're like years behind me. So I don't know. It's not like, and good for them. Like, they got their school paid for, so maybe that's the path they wanted to go on. However, I think everyone lives a different life, and giving someone shit for re-enlisting, I don't think is really, it doesn't benefit anybody.
Was it actually like really that negative? Like, they were giving you shit about it, or were they just like genuinely trying to be like, yo, like, did they actually think it would be benefiting you to get out though?
I think it was more like they have hostility towards the military, so they cast that upon me. Is like, oh, like it's just gonna fuck you over again. So like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
That type of mentality. Whereas, like, I mean, everyone has a different career. Look at us compared to Joe. Joey's job sucks. Our job is pretty cake. So,
Did you get pushback from family?
no, absolutely not. My family doesn't give a shit what I do.
I think I was actually the one to tell him to re-enlist. Or I was
Yeah,
encouraging it.
you're still young and naive. Wait till you get dicked over enough times.
Nah.
Yeah, I got a little bit of pushback from my family. They're like, well, you should just come home. And then my sister, we were talking about getting a personal training job out there. This is when I wanted to do personal training and actually planned to get out to do it. And I had interviews and everything. But then I decided that wasn't my calling. And then COVID happened and a bunch of different reasons caused me to want to re-enlist. And I got a lot of pushback from that. But I think it's important to have the tough conversations and to be honest with those close to you. Be honest about your insecurities, how you feel about their expectations, what you want to do, where you want to go. And even if they respond poorly or get angry, they're
It's not their life.
yeah, I guess their respect is going to be enormous. Their respect for you. Yeah. Regardless of how they feel.
Right.
You said, yeah, like you had to solidify what you said.
I think that's a great point to make, though, because even if it's not necessarily what you want to do, like it kind of almost sounds like in your situation, it was the best thing for you. And even if other people don't see it that way, it's kind of not their decision to make.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, would you want to move back home? Like, is that something you want to do eventually?
Maybe. I'm not sure. It was more so about the job and being close to family.
Yeah.
Not meaning in the future I might have moved away from home and pursued a career somewhere else. But at the time, it was nice to have a plan to get out of the military and then get close to that, I guess, that support system.
Yeah.
And yeah, just see my nieces and nephews and all that. But then it changed. I mean, I didn't feel like that was my calling. I wasn't motivated to do that anymore, and things just changed.
Yeah, I think so. Wrapping it into like being lost in your 20s is, I had that option to get out back in April, and I started looking at jobs, started looking at contracting jobs, and I was told I'd be making this much amount of money. It's not very steady. You're gonna have to like get bidding wars with the government basically to get a contract, and like that's how you have your job. So like almost every 3 years it's like, well, am I gonna have another job? We're gonna be bought out by someone? Are they gonna let me go? I was like, I think the job stability is important for me right now. It's like a steady paycheck every 2 weeks. I know exactly what I'll be getting, right? And I already know what I'm doing, so I'll just re-enlist. And I did that, and then COVID like shut everything down, and I was very glad that I didn't get out, because then I just would have been screwed. Like, okay, these guys aren't working, so I'm making no money now. So in a way, life almost directs you exactly where you need to go half the time. It's like, well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to get out, so I stuck with what was comfortable, and it paid off. And now that doesn't happen every time. Sometimes you need to take the risks, like we talked in the moving away from home episode. Is like, I think being lost in your 20s, I think that's the perfect time to restart, go move somewhere on your own, and then just start your own life and see where life takes you.
I mean, in your 20s, you have time on your side. You have that. It's your moment in life to fail and restart and just experiment with whatever you can.
Yeah. And, if you're in your early 20s, you probably don't have a whole lot of commitments holding you down. You might not have a home. You might not have a wife and kids.
I mean, unless you're from Nebraska and you're married at 18, but
True.
Or in the military and you're married at 18.
Big oof. Hey, to build a little bit though on what Chris was saying, and like we've talked in the past again about myself moving away from where I am. I think that was a big reason. Like, that's a big reason in my mind that I haven't just like taken the leap and moved, is like job stability. Like right now, it's just like Chris said, I have a job. I know what I'm going to be making every 2 weeks. I know what's coming in. I'm saving a lot of money right now, living at home, which is great. And it'll be even better for when I do move away. But like, I know that's one thing that I want to have secured before I do leave, is like, I want to be able to have a job to go to. And that's like part of my kind of like goals that I'm making for myself for when I do leave. Just because I don't want to get stuck. Like, I don't want to put myself in a situation where I get somewhere and then I have a hard time finding a job and then I end up, back where I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's a difference between doing what you love and being reckless. I mean, of course, you can save some money and you can have a job lined up to mitigate any risk, But as long as you're planning for that. So you're working on it right now.
Right.
I think part of it is also just sending it and like, having a set amount of cash saved up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just go, and as you see that cash start dwindling down, that's like your motivation's kicked into hyperdrive, man. It's like, fuck, I will go get a job right now. Like I'm gonna take whatever I can find, and like that's part of life, man. Is like, I'll take this till I find something better, and then I don't think nobody has a plan in life, man. Nobody has a plan. If they if life went 100% according to plan, there'd be no struggle.
And sorry to cut you off, Chris, but
No,
I did want to just say this real quick. I think that's a really great way to look at it, and actually, like, talking about it even right now, it's not a way that I've kind of viewed it before. Like, I've always kind of seen it as, all right, I have this amount of money saved up. I don't want to leave and then blow that all and then end up, having to come back to where I don't want to be. But I think that's a great point that you made there. It's like, once you see that number starting to dwindle and once you see that you need to, do something about it, I think that's a great motivating factor. And I never really looked at it that way.
Yeah, that's what my buddy did. My buddy got out of the Air Force, moved back home. He joined the reserves, so he's making, some money on the weekends and whatnot. But he was very smart with his money. He saved up a lot, and he bought a house, and he was getting paid to go to school. But then everything kicked off, and he stopped going to school, so he stopped making that extra bit of money. And he started watching his savings go down and down and down. I mean, he still had a ton of money, but he was like, you know what? I'm just going to go find a job. And he applied for the post office, got it, and then he got on deployment for the reserves, so then he didn't have to worry about that anymore. Money was taken care of, and now he comes back next week, and now he has a job on base with the guard unit, I think, for like as an active slot. So like that's his job. And he's not, I mean, he's been stressed at points, it's like, yeah, I'm 26, 27, I think he's 27, like me. And he's like, I don't really, like last year after you talked to him, he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was like, all right, man, just go with the flow. And that's exactly what he's doing. And now he's got a steady job. He's got more money than he had before. And like, it just proves, man, like life will take you where you need to go.
Yeah. So like tying into the going with the flow, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, like when you feel stuck, just like your buddy, that doors and paths will open up for you in life that you weren't expecting. You could have one plan and that plan just totally falls apart, but normally normally it'll be for the better for you because life will work itself out and another path will open up. In the wise words of Katy Perry, maybe you're a reason why all the doors are closed, so you could open one that leads you to the perfect road. There we are.
Wow. That's actually pretty good, Katy Perry.
Damn.
Wow.
Attaboy.
Philosopher.
There it is. But there it is. But it's actually very true. There are a lot of doors that will close on you, but other paths will open up, and it will be for the better as long as you make the most of it. I think
I
Chris
like
just
it.
fell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone's stunned right now by Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Chris was so shocked he fell out of his chair.
Honestly.
But yeah, so another thing is, being, sorry, my chair's squeaky.
Sure.
It's not just your 20s though, like I mentioned in the preview. You know, I know my British friend Chris, he's 36. He's old as dirt now. Holy shit. I met him when he was like 31. Damn. Shout out to
He's
Chris.
going to be listening to this.
Yeah, he's listening. So yeah, I just called you old buddy. He was like, you know what? The biggest thing for me is just being content anymore. I'm done trying to struggle. I'm done trying to, you know, like, where do I need to go? Where should I be? Why aren't I there? And he's just like, you know, just be content with what your job is. Be content with life. Like, he's got a family, he's got kids, and he was trying to, you know, come to Texas and get a job, and he didn't get it the first time, or like he pulled out or something like that. And now he's just like, you know what, mate? Like, I'm good. I'm happy where I'm at. Like, I needed to talk to somebody to realize that, and like that's where I'm at in life now, is like just going with the flow. I'm happy. I've made it here. Look at everything I've accomplished so far. So why am I stressing about life? And that just shows you, like, even as you get older, like, you're still not going to have it figured out. You might even hit retirement and be like, shit, I didn't know what I want to do my entire life, but here I am. I made it. I got all this money to retire on, and like, I'm happy.
Yeah, that's all life really is. It's just being lost, and that's everyone just being lost together. No one knows what life is. No one knows what to do.
No, and like, I'm interested to see, you know, I wish we could like interview people for this, because that'd be cool, but we have no credibility.
Yeah.
Just like, I would like to talk to a CEO of like a company or something, but like, do you enjoy your job? Like, do you like doing this? Is this where you thought you'd be in life? And I guarantee they'd probably say no, because it's probably super stressful. I mean, granted, they probably love the money aspect of it. They're probably rich. But did they ever end up there? Who knows? Like, did they ever mean to end up there? Who knows?
Actually, a quick a book that actually speaks to something like this, Millionaire Next Door. I recommend it to anyone, and it talks about that exactly. So like, it talks about, it's basically a bunch of data about a bunch of millionaires and stuff like that. It asks them questions like that. It's just like, it asks them, are you happy where you are in life? Are you happy with how much money you make? It doesn't matter like if they're a CEO. It doesn't matter if they're making like millions of dollars like a year. They're pretty much, the answer is like no. Like, there's always something more that they want to strive for. Like, there's always something more that someone wants. And I remember when I was like, I think I was in like high school, and someone brought up, is life fair? And I am a strong believer that I believe life is fair. Some people might say people have different beginnings, and like, people are born into money and everything, but it doesn't matter. Like, people have their own struggles in their own mind, because that's all life is. It's just, it's your mind. So
it's your perception, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's your perception.
I agree with
so that. Everyone has struggle. Doesn't matter what you have in life.
You know what's funny is I make that same exact argument that Talon just said, to say that life isn't fair.
Yeah,
no, life's fair, man.
Yeah.
I agree with Talon completely, because
Oh, I do too.
I mean, you just said I had to argue that it wasn't.
No, I said I use that same exact argument to say that life isn't fair.
Yeah, so how are you going to agree with him?
Because it's the same argument. It's the same points. Just
The
a different
fuck?
perspective. It's a different perspective, just like you said.
Oh.
All
Because
right.
you
Whatever
said
you-
it, dingus.
I didn't call you your name. Damn it.
Oh,
Unfortunate. That'll be next
All right,
week.
McDudenheimer Schmidt. Here we go. Yeah. So I think if you're listening and you know you're either A, in the military deciding whether to re-enlist, B, thinking about joining, or C, you're not in the military at all and you're like, where the fuck do I go? It's important. Just like, don't stress about it. Just work, work for tomorrow. What's tomorrow going to hold? What are you going to make tomorrow? What are you going to remember about tomorrow, And how are you going to strive for success? And I think if you wake up and you're like, I'm going to make today count, you're going to be so successful in life. If you do that every morning, like, you're not going to fail. There's no way you will.
Right. You got to keep the hustle up. You got to keep grinding for what you really desire. I think that's when people get really content and get complacent in their 20s, that's where they end up stuck. And you always got to find that next goal and try to strive for that. I actually have a buddy who's...
Get the the really good thing about being in your 20s is you have the energy and the time to like put in all the work and everything like that. Imagine working like 50 hours a week when you're 40 or something, but you can do that in your 20s if you really want to. You can have a detriment to your social life, and you can keep working towards the goals that you want to at that time.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I actually have a buddy who I've been talking to at the gym right now. His name's also Joe. And
It's Joe! Joe!
God dang it. But yeah, he was stuck. He did his college, and I find this true with a lot of my friends who go through college, but then they get their degrees, or maybe they even drop out, and they're like, well, I don't know what to do now. Like, they find out that this is not exactly what they want to do for the rest of their lives, and they're kind of struggling to find the next step. And at that point, you have to find what you love, or do you want to just go with the flow? My one buddy who I was talking about, he's actually planning to join the Air Force because he's got nothing better here in Delaware for him. So his next step was to join the Air Force. And then
he's going to end up right back in Dover.
I mean,
Hey,
honestly,
yeah, that was
yeah, he might do his 4 years, figure out he hates it. But at that point, you learn a lot in the military.
I meant station Dover.
Oh, that would be
That was,
hilarious.
Right over your head.
Oh,
that was
man.
that was me though, right there, Joe. Like what you were saying about college, and that was really, I would say, what got me lost in my 20s. I picked a major that I didn't necessarily like. I kind of, I talked about this a lot in episode 1, but I didn't really worry so much about my major because I was really focusing more on sports. I picked a major that I liked the dollar sign figure for. And then I got, a couple years into that major and I hated it, and then got out and was like, all right, shit, what do I do with myself? And then actually my trainer, my baseball trainer when I was at NJIT, he kind of pointed me in the direction toward, looking at like health and exercise, which I, ended up going to school for. But then even with that, like I got my associates and I was like, okay, I still don't know where I'm going with this. And that's why I think it's really cool we're doing this episode right now when we're doing it, because I think for the first time I kind of have a plan as to what I want to do. So this is kind of like, this is the first time I've had like an actual plan since I got out of high school, I think. So it's really cool to kind of finally be at that point where things are starting to come together a little bit. So yeah, I mean, just to kind of talk to a lot of the same points we've made the whole time though, like, I think not stressing about it is a big part of it, and just rolling with the punches, because a lot of this stuff is out of your control. There's nothing you can do. And, when you make those decisions, you think that's the best decision for you. And that isn't always necessarily the case.
Right. All I'm saying, Randy, is that the age that you're able to enlist is 39. So, I mean, you got time.
Oh, don't you try and recruit
Don't
him.
do that to him.
I'm kidding.
See,
I'm kidding.
all right, time out. Time
But
out,
then
boys.
my beard.
Wait, time out. Yeah, oh yeah, your beard would be gone. You would be ugly as
Yeah,
hell.
well,
Yeah, that'd be really
Yeah.
sad.
Oh,
Your
man,
life's
bald.
all ruined.
Bald and beardless Randy. That'd be amazing.
Big rips.
So I'd like to advocate for joining the military. Real quick, hear me out, boys. Hear me out. Ready?
Oh boy, he's a recruiter now.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't think any of us regret it. That's
No.
a fact. I don't think any of us four regret it. There were a lot of people who got dicked over real hard and regret it.
I regret
But-
re-enlisting, but I don't regret my first term.
Right, and that's where I'm getting at, is that first term, right? Never sign 6. No, do not do 6. 4 years. That's the minimum, and that's what I'm talking about. I had a friend who went to Stanford. I don't remember if he failed out. I think he failed out. But he joined the military, did 6 years, because he had to for a certain job. Made a lot of money, saved up, had fun, and he got out recently, and now he's back at Stanford, and he's got a whole different mindset, and I really have faith that he'll graduate from Stanford with like really good grades and be super successful in life, because he's a really smart kid. Hanging out with him all the time, his vocabulary alone is like 8 times that of mine, and I sound like an idiot half the time, so that's pretty easy to do. But
No doubt.
I mean, I think the military, 4 years, right? That is such a good stepping stone. If you join at 18 like Talon, you're done at 22, man. And you have had 4 years to rack up all this money. If you're smart with your money, you save it, You got all the discipline that they teach you. You've got good communication skills because you will give briefs. You know how to talk to people. You make connections throughout the country. Like, there's no reason why I don't think everyone should do 4 years and get out.
Yep.
Makes me
Some
think
countries
of
require that, and I think that's actually like a good system.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they make you do 4. I think they make you do like 2. But
Yeah.
I think like right out of high school, they make you do like 2 years, and then you can you get that life experience, and then you kind of choose where you want to go from there.
Wait, where does that? Who
I
does that?
think
like Switzerland stuff. Yeah.
New Zealand.
There's
New Zealand
that
does
too.
that.
there's
There's a
actually
couple countries.
We need
there's a few
research.
countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually had the Devils, New Jersey Devils, the hockey team.
Yep.
Our center, Nico Heischer, actually, during this whole break, he went back home to Switzerland because he still has to do his commitment. And so he's been in the
shit.
military. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
They
Same thing in
cool.
same thing in like South Korea. Like every male has to serve a minimum.
yeah.
Yep.
So I think it's the best stepping stone in life possible because you learn so much at a young age, and you're just set up for success. Like, back to being where I am, I never thought I'd be here, but I'll never struggle for a job again. I don't think any of us will. With the experience we have, all the qualifications we have, and other stuff that factor into that, we'll have job offers for the rest of our lives, and that is a phenomenal thing to have.
So I think it depends on a lot of factors. So Chris, Jared, and I will say we all have pretty good jobs in the Air Force, and even Joe, he's in the Air Force. So like that a minimum is like that makes him in a pretty good place. But I don't think just saying joining the military is a good thing for everyone. Like I don't think like some 18-year-old should just be like, I'm gonna join the Marines, I'm gonna join the Army for like no reason, like no good reason other than just being like, I want a good stepping stone in life. Because I think in some situations it could set people up for some failure and stuff like that. And like you can see that in like a lot of homeless communities and like our veteran communities and stuff like that. The military doesn't set everyone up for success. It just doesn't.
I think you need to be smart about it and do your research prior. Obviously join the branch that is for the smart people and will set you up for success, Air Force.
Air Force.
But yeah, I mean, look at Nick, our buddy Nick. He's in the Army. He's done his 4 years. His deployments are like year long, and ours aren't. And he's getting out. He hates it. He absolutely hates it. And he got a job where it doesn't translate very well. Actually, I think it might translate. It all depends, like what job you get, Yeah. So that's the thing is, don't just take a job just because you want to join. Like, don't say, oh, I want to go shoot people, because you probably don't, first off. And then second off, like that, what are you going to do? 4 years and get out and then just be lost all over again?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you need to be smart with it and choose a job that like translates well to the civilian world.
Well, if you look at like my buddy Kyle, Chris, you broke my ramp.
Yeah.
So he did 4 years in the Marines. He got out for 2 years and then like kind of ended up in that same situation. He was Marine infantry and he got out and he was kind of like, I don't know what I want to do. And like, even just like the time that we spent together while he was home, he was like, 1 minute he'd be like, I want to be a cop. I want to be, a 3-letter agency of some sort, or I want to be, I want to work at a gun range. Like, he was just so like lost and bounced between so many things. And he ended up re-enlisting, but he re-enlisted with the Army. But I think what he did that was smart was he re-enlisted and he actually got a job doing he's like doing heavy machine operating, so he runs like backhoes and excavators and stuff. And now what's great for him is like whether he gets out in 4 years or 8 years or 20 years, he's set up when he gets out to get a good job. Like, machine operators make great money, and he'll be all set to do that when he's done.
That is huge facts.
So that's the point I'm making. Yeah, it's the military is not for everybody, and you might not even be able to join because of health reasons. However, I think if you are able to join and you do the research as to what job translates well, what job will make you money on the outside, it's 100% a stepping stone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a slippery slope. You might hate it, you might not, but regardless, you're gonna learn lessons from it, and that's the biggest point. Is being in your 20s, man. It's like you're not gonna have it figured out. Like that's the biggest point I think from this episode is you need to realize you're not gonna have stuff figured out. It's never gonna happen. So I think having goals to work towards is what you need to do. So yeah, so speaking of stepping stones and joining, I mean, there's one person on this whole cast that never joined. So Randy, why is that you didn't join the military?
So number one, let me start by saying that it's not that it was never a thought, like it was always there, but again, and I've talked about this before, with baseball, right out of high school, baseball was like, it seemed like that was the path for me. And I figured, I can go and join the military and risk getting shot at and killed, or I can go play a kid's game and make millions of dollars.
I like your logic.
You mean a man's game?
But I mean, like, when you really think about it that way, like if you offer that to an 18-year-old, what I would say, 9 out of 10 times, what 18-year-old isn't going to go get paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game?
Hardcore Trump supporters.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll
I'll be real with you.
probably
If you
cut
offer
that.
that same, if you offer that same situation to anyone in the military, 99% of them are going to take the sports.
Yeah, hell, we'll get
Yeah,
out.
that's true.
We'll get paid millions of dollars.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, to kind of be simple about it, like that was really simply what it boiled down to. It was kind of like go to the military or go to school and play baseball. And right at that time in my life, baseball was the priority. So I picked what was the priority. Now, if I could look at hindsight and kind of like maybe have more of a realization that that was a really lofty goal and that maybe that wasn't the right way to go, then maybe, yeah, I would have joined up, or maybe even like did my 4 years in college and then joined up after that. But it just it's not how the cards unfolded for me. So for me, it didn't make sense.
Did you have a scholarship while you were at NJIT or no?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
No.
Damn, that's rough.
Yeah. No, I was a walk-on as an athlete there.
Damn, and you actually made it?
Yeah.
Nice, dude.
And I wasn't big brain enough to get any kind of academic scholarship for that school.
Yeah, that's true. Those guys are geniuses. But
yeah.
I mean, it's funny that life took you that way. You realized that wasn't for you, and it wasn't. Well, I mean, not that baseball wasn't for you, but that school wasn't. And
Well, I mean, that school wasn't for me, and that baseball wasn't going to pan out the way I thought it was. And that was like the big realization. And again, I talked a lot about that in the first episode, but that was the big realization when it finally kind of hit home that it's like, all right, you're probably not going to be a professional baseball player. It's like, all right, shit, now you got to figure out what you're going to do.
yeah, you're starting all over again.
Yep.
And I think that's the point. You got to not be afraid to fail and start over. Like, it's going to happen. Whenever we get out of the military, I know it's been a lot of military talk today, but when we get out, our friends get out, everybody struggles with that transition. It's very difficult because, you've had all the structure like we talked about, and you've had someone telling you what to do. You know what you're getting paid, and you get out, and it's like, well, shit. No matter what it is, you are starting over in life, and you can't be afraid of that. And that's how you will be successful. And like, yeah, you might be lost. Yeah, you might not know where it's going to take you a year, 3 years down the road, but you're going to look back and be like, wow, I made it, and here I am. That's awesome.
So one thing that I want everyone to think about when they're going through life and, having their struggles is this quote, which is, losers quit when they fail and winners fail until they succeed. So when you're going through life and, you get knocked down or, just things get thrown at you that you don't expect, just keep getting up. And like when I think Chris was talking about it earlier, you're going to fail a lot. But if you want to succeed and if you want to get out of that part in your life where you're stuck, in your 20s normally, then you're going to have to get up and not be afraid to fail, because the successful people are the ones who fail over and over again, but they keep trying. And the losers are the ones who stay down when they get knocked down.
I think-
like that. We talked about
Yeah.
earlier in the podcast about like that one kid you guys saw outside the coffee shop and like the entrepreneurial like mindset that kid had. And I think that's like, for something like that, people like that, they aren't afraid to fail, because once they fail, they will continue until they succeed. But like a lot of people, they're afraid of that failure and they'll never succeed because they're constantly afraid. So sometimes you just need to take that leap of faith, no matter what it is in life. And you might fail, but as long as you can get back up from that, that's all it really takes.
And
Absolutely.
That's really good. I think when we're talking about success, it's important to kind of define it, because everyone defines it differently. And it's really just like the realization of a worthy ideal. And that's actually Earl Nightingale. He quoted that.
Okay.
But
nice.
you know, it's
Again.
different for the kid outside of the coffee shop selling paintings. He might want to be a salesman. He might want to be a creative and wants to sell his work to other people. To someone else, it might be running the corner store. To someone else, it might be being a stay-at-home mom. You know, just find what brings you joy and find what you think is worthy of your time.
Damn, that's nice. That's deep.
Yeah.
Yep. That kid's
Yeah,
going
I
to get to
think,
his 20s, and then he's going to say, I don't like doing this anymore and join the military.
Maybe.
No.
Nah, dude, that kid is going to be way too successful for the military. But I think one more great example is Elon Musk and this whole SpaceX adventure, right? Like, how many times has that rocket failed to hit that landing pad? And it's incredible, right? Like, fail, success. And people only see the success. They don't see all the work it took to get there and how many failures it took to overcome to get there.
I think it makes that success that much sweeter.
Oh, yeah,
Like when you
100%.
failed a bunch of times and then you finally get it, it's like, it's that much better.
Yeah, all your work is paid off. So the goals to take away from this podcast are, 1, don't be afraid to fail. It's going to happen, and you need to realize that you will get back up and you will work towards that goal and you will get there one day. It might not be the way you thought you'd get there, but at the end of it, you're going to look back and be like, wow, what a life I've lived. I thought I'd be lost. I never thought I'd end up here, and this was not my plan. However, like Jared said, it's all about finding that contentment and that joy. And as long as you're content, that's it. That's life right there. That's the answer.
All right, guys, this has been Lessons Learned. Thank you all for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and go follow our other social media pages linked in the description. From all of us here at Lessons Learned, have a good day and see ya!